his left elbow. I hope we don't show the replay of that again cause it was horrific during the fourth quarter. 31 points. He is scheduled to undergo an MRI today. Anyone that watched that injury knows though it cannot be good. Head coach Dan Quinn talked about why Daniels was still in the game when they were down so big at that point. Listen to this. Was there any consideration to not having Jayden go in for that series in which he got injured and having Marcus finish it out? Yeah, not of the space. I mean, obviously like the hindsight, you don't want to think that way where, an injury could take place. Obviously we are more conservative in that spot to, run and hand off and not have reads to go, but at just the end result, Nick, obviously I'm bummed. Now, look, we could debate this back and forth all day, but Cam, I'll go to you first. Do you think Jayden Daniels should have been in the game at that point of the interview? I'm going to teach you something real quick, Shay. We got a song in our culture that is like, why? Why? It's so many whys and what you do. I see you. So, for me, one of those things definitely got to come to Dan X. The thing that I'm asking myself if I'm Dan Quinn, why do I need to prove it this way? You had a bad game. It happens in the NFL. Okay. Jayden Daniels is not only coming off of an injury and have been played with injuries up until this point. You find ways to give him representatives in other aspects. Live representatives is there's no way that you can emulate that. But having him in the game with so much to lose and then that happens, that could be a firing offense in most cases. But obviously Dan Quinn is in a different type of situation. This is a disaster in Washington and the whole year has been a disaster. Go back to the start of training camp and this ridiculous holdout with McLaren, and then McLaren doesn't get the representatives for Jayden. Guess who's been hurt all year? McLaren with the soft tissue injury. Jayden Daniels. This is a warning shot to Washington. I got a lot of love for and respect for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters, and all this a warning shot. This dude has been hit 322 times since the start of last season. That's the most in the NFL. That's over 12 times a game. You all got to stop playing with this young man. They got to stop playing this style of football. And I understand it's a little bit on him and you could speak to it greater than I can. It's a little bit on him. But 12 times a game. I grew up in an era where like you wanted to get your quarterback hit. Never. Never. You paid guys hundreds of millions of dollars in the shotgun. If I know that's certainly the other team, but this has been a mess in Washington since the start of the training camp. And that's why they are where they are. They continue to call man coverage when they can't play camp. No, he shouldn't have been in the game. It's 38-7. And you surely aren't having him carry to football. This is a damning moment on this organization that a year ago was on a rocket ship. Everything was riding high. And since then, since that loss in the NFC title game, it's been question mark after mishandling after just kind of this steady decline. And this is a bad sign for an organization that was headed in the right direction. Sacked 4 times last night. He's been sacked 17 times in 6 games this season. Missed a few games due to injury. Came into the pros having an injury history. You know his slider frame. You know these kind of things. It's 7 minutes and 39 seconds left and you have him out there trailing 38-7. The game is clearly over. Why are you calling that play? Why are you doing that? Why is he in the game? Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But even if you're in the game, hand the ball off, throw the damn football. But what you don't do is put him in that kind of situation. You just don't do that. And the thing about it is that if you're Quinn is the latest, and I'm going to say coach as in management. He's the latest management figure with the Washington Commanders to mishandle things. They mishandled the Terry McLaurin situation, the contract-wise. You got to have him ready for the season. If he can't play, if he can't be in training camp, if he can't be in the preseason, if he can't be don't show it no more. Please don't show it no more. But if he can't get himself right, he's going to come into the season compromised. So he comes in, he gets injured again. He's missed a few games. Now you got Jayden McDaniels out. You see other guys like Nora Brown and others who have been out. You look at them and you want the Washington Commanders, and I haven't heard anybody say this. These brothers I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about organizationally. They were feeling themselves. Last year you in the NFC Championship game, you exceeded expectation. So you say, you know what, we got the rookie quarterback. McLaurin is not that priority. We got this going on. No problem might not be that priority. You're looking around and you're wondering what the hell are they thinking? It's a moment to capitalize off of by elevating your level of seriousness and intensity and in focus, etc. They haven't done that. They have failed as an organization this season. And this latest decision by Dan Quinn to have Jayden Daniels in that game at that particular moment in time is the latest nugget of intel that shows whether the word is tone deaf, whether they're just not on top of their game, whether they're just letting things fall through the cracks. It's just the latest evidence that's what's going on in Washington. If I could push back a little bit, please. The thing is though, this offense has not looked right since last season, and we know that. So maybe Dan Quinn is in there trying to figure out a way to get this guy a little bit more rhythm. Get Jayden Daniels going. Get a few quick completions. Build up the confidence. This offense hasn't looked right all year. That is the garbage time touchdown. I don't care. Not that they were going to win the game, but just to play devil's advocate. But he has an injury history. He has time this year. Exactly though. That's my point. They haven't had time to build rhythm. We always say that at the end of games, like, let's get some momentum going. It don't really matter. Yeah. There's 7. It just made me laugh about Shay saying that because we kind of know her a little bit, right? Even though it's your first day full on the job, you've been here, you've hosted on several occas, right? She's a mother. Could you imagine her kid getting hurt and then some and then somebody and then some coach has him out there down 387, right? You lose your mind. And I'm saying to you, your coach has to think like that from a business perspective. This is not a good business decision to jeopardize the face of our franchise this way. Live for another day. And he didn't do that. So I give you to you on a different front because hindsight's 2020, right? Of course. So you look at a deal of why coach won him in a game like that. He's chasing representatives. He hasn't had the opportunities as most quarterbacks has had those opportunities this particular year. So if I'm Jayden Davis, if I'm Dan Quinn and you say certain things like, why is he always in the shotgun? Something's happening here. Why is he still in the game? Well, when you're talking about an offensive coordinator and you start to see his style of play, he's not going on the center. Cliff Kingsbury, that's what I'm searching for. Cliff Kingsbury is not going under center. There's other ways that you have to start saying, and the coach used to always tell us this. Every season is a new season. You don't get the opportunity to start from where you started.